Hello guys, this is Adam and welcome to the Adam Lab, and this time we did add the 100% weeb aesthetic to the whole lab. I hope you like what you're seeing right now. For me, I wanted something more me, which is more about anime. Anyhow, you're not here to hear about that. You're here to hear about Unreal Engine. In a previous video, I did the test for Unreal Engine where it was solid 60 frames per second. Any project that we open with ray tracing or not, we're getting a solid 60 frames per second. And that was amazing. One of the people in the comments said, what about if we do the test, but this time we have the frame rate uncapped? And that's simply what I did. I went to the settings, general settings, and then made the fixed frame rate from 30 or whatever it says to 999, which means it can go to the maximum that it can go. And then I did the testing, and holy moly cow. The first test I did the third person project, and then the average that I was getting was 120 frames. The character being slow, that's just because the character itself is set to 30 frames. So when you go to 120 frames, it seems like you are going and moving very fast, and you can see that by the movement aspect. But in general, the average that I was getting with that project, 120 frames per second. I'm like, okay, that's a good start. Let's go ahead and go to the other project. And it's my favorite project, and that project many of you have seen me do testing on. It's the sci-fi project. Open the sci-fi project and I'm like, okay, let's get into it. And this project, we're averaging from 120 to 140 frames. And again, after uncapping the frame rate. And I'm like, holy cow, this is double the frame rate that we are getting. Granted, we were getting a solid 60 frames per second, but it shows that the room that we had, surpassing 60 frames per second, we're going all the way up to 120 frames. I'm like, okay, then let's do the third project, which most of you saw that I really like that project. And again, it's the project for the car. I did it with the ray tracing and without ray tracing. With the ray tracing, I was getting around 120 frames up to 140. So the average was around 140 frames per second. And then when I went back and did it with the ray tracing, I got a performance hit. So my average was around 110 to 120. But still, you're losing around 20 frames per second after unlocking the ray tracing. And one of the other people in the comments said, I wonder what is the benefit of ray tracing, or what the option does that do. It seems that since we were capping everything with the previous test at 60 frames per second, we were not seeing any changes. But now, since you have the frame rate uncapped, we were seeing the results and we were seeing the difference. With that, I can definitely comfortably say Unreal Engine works just as it should on the M1 Mac. Now, there is definitely room for improvement. I will give you that. Plus, the version that I was testing, it was the early access to 5.0.0. So you need to keep that in mind. And it's still for testing as well. Now, funny enough, I did open the 5.0.0 preview, Unreal Engine 5. And with that, everything that I was working with, I was being capped at 60 frames or going as low as 40 frames. And yes, I did uncap the frame rate as well, but it seems like it's not optimized. I really had issues with it, and it was really annoying to work with, and even once it did crash on me. However, the early access, not the preview version of Unreal Engine 5, was working as it should without any issues, and that would be the version that I recommend that you would work with if you want to work with Unreal Engine 5 until we have an official release after everything is being optimized, because I do believe there is more room for improvement and there is more room for optimization. With all of that and working with all of these projects and getting those amazing numbers, I did not hear the freaking fan for the Mac, for the M1 Max 16-inch. Plus, the shaders were being compiled really quickly. It's still the same as before, with the realm of 30 seconds maximum to compile the whole project. Now, the last thing that I did test was the MetaHuman, and with the MetaHuman, I was averaging around 90 frames to 100. That is really cool, because the MetaHuman was being capped at 60 frames with the previous in the previous test that I did. MetaHuman project is not an easy project to run as well. And then, of course, moving inside and everything was completely normal, and it was good as well. So these are the findings after testing the Unreal Engine 5, also after uncapping the frame rate. Definitely let me know what other tests that you want to see. For me, what I am curious about is the Mac Studio, or as I call it, the Mac Mini Pro M1 Max. This device should be here in 2 days, so we will definitely do an unboxing and all of the testing for it. If you made it to the very end, say I like the pink color, or at least you can tell me what was your favorite Dragon Ball Z character. But yeah, if you are wondering about what you're looking at Android 18 right here. Definitely I love her, but at the same time I hate her a little bit because she did beat my favorite character, which is Vegeta, which I have here and then I have there with Bulma because Bulma is awesome. And then here, actually my favorite video game, my favorite 3D fighting game, that's Dead or Alive. That's actually the collector's edition that I have for Xbox 360, which I have not opened just yet because it's a collector edition. You get it not to open it, you get it to collect it. But you did not come here to hear a weeping about anime. You came here for Unreal Engine, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.